We're talking with Richard Isay, MD, author of Being Homosexual, published by Avon. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you.
In a world that expects everybody to be cookie-cutter similar, there have been changes in sexual orientation that is now out in the open. Homosexuality is an accepted form of behavior, but is it genetic? Is it environmental?
Most of us now feel that there's a genetic or constitutional basis to homosexuality. There are a number of studies that point to that. One of the studies is a study of identical twins separated at birth, where a significant proportion of those twins both become gay, as opposed to fraternal twins who don't. Another is family studies, where you find if there's one sibling who's gay in a family, there are a significant number of other siblings who are also gay.
What about, you do discuss in the book, the old theory of the hostile mother,
That's
the mother to the father who is the distant father. If it is genetic, do these things matter? Would a heterosexual man brought up in that same environment have a different proclivity?
Yes, he would be heterosexual. Those of us who've worked with both gay men and heterosexual men cannot find any difference between the family backgrounds of heterosexuals and the family backgrounds of gay men. I would defy anybody to do a double-blind study and be able to predict on the basis of families who was gay and who was not. It just can't be done.
We should tell our friends in the audience you are a psychoanalyst.
That's
so
great.
That this book is based on your studies, your work in writing papers on homosexuality,
Exactly.
and your client-patient list. The distant father, because again, if it is genetic, say a parent doesn't want, would prefer to see the son grow up in a heterosexual track, would hormones help?
No, absolutely not. And the idea that a parent would suspect that his or her child was gay and send him to a physician to be treated, I think, is probably the worst thing you can do. What is so important for those parents out there who are concerned about their children is not to be concerned. What's important is those youngsters grow up to be loving, lovable human beings. And that means, like with a heterosexual youngster, being given all the love possible, particularly by the father. The father is enormously important, as I say in this book, to gay youngsters, because gay youngsters seem to have a particular erotic attraction to the father, like heterosexual youngsters have a particular, I'm talking about males now, have a particular erotic attraction to the mother.
So it's sort of an Oedipal complex in reverse.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
One of the factors in this book I kept finding was that you were treating patients who had a problem being close to another person, and especially when it is a male to a male.
Right.
They had come out of adolescence and maybe they had had a little experience there, but it was sort of hit and run without having a human attachment to another human.
There is no doubt that in our society, many gay men have trouble with intimacy with another man. And there's very good reason for that. First of all, there is enormous homophobia in our society. There's enormous hatred on all levels of society. We are a very puritanical society. Our government, our judiciary does not support legal bonds between gay men, so that there is a reluctance to bond intimately. And furthermore, there is rejection from very early on, often by the father, who senses this particular proclivity of the gay son to him and will withdraw, and the son will feel rejected. Then the rejection by peers and the rejection in adolescence, the lack of role models, all make it very difficult for gay men in our society now to be able to bring together affectionate loving feelings with their sexual feelings.
What about bisexuality? Again, you cover that in the book. You don't believe in it.
Oh yes, yes I do. There are bisexuals. There are not a lot of bisexuals. Bisexuality can best be defined by somebody who has about an evenly divided erotic fantasy life between homoerotic and heterosexual fantasies. Let me also interject that a homosexual should be defined by his fantasy life and not by behavior, because there could be inhibited behavior in our society and you still will have a homosexual, like a heterosexual who doesn't have sex. He or she is still heterosexual. Yes, there are bisexuals. And these bisexuals are much more likely to be able to stay in a marriage, for example, than a gay man who marries because he has denied his sexual orientation or because he wishes to live a conventional life. Bisexuals usually have enough erotic feeling for the spouse to be able to stay in the marriage as long as he has access to the homosexual side of his nature and can use that effectively. But if he denies that part of his nature, he's going to get into trouble.
It's interesting. I was just talking with David Levitt about his new book, and we were talking about the fact how times have changed, that he could come out now and be open about being gay, whereas 15, 20 years ago, he probably would have had to have what we're talking about, a marriage of convenience, in order to get along, or he would have been the bachelor right or uncle of someone.
Well, don't forget that many gay men get married not as a marriage of convenience, but because they're not in touch with their feelings about their homosexuality. I see, for example, many men in their 40s to 50s, who for the first time are coming to terms with their sexual orientation. They may have a spouse to whom they are very attached, children whom they love dearly, but their passions and erotic attractions lie outside of the marriage. This is a catastrophe for those men.
I'm going to ask the ignorant question, Richard. What if that wife or spouse performed the acts that that other person found terribly erotic, but they were living in a very conventional missionary type world? Would this make a difference? Is there anything that goes with inhibitions that changes that homoerotic feeling?
Well, I think, first of all, you're assuming that it's just the sexual act that a gay man longs for. It's not. It's the attachment to a man. And it's the closeness to a man, even though he may be frightened of it. So that it's not sufficient for there just to be the sexual behavior, although most gay men are not really, unless we're talking about a bisexual. A gay man is not really able to function sexually for a long period of time within a marriage. So that's not, he longs for the attachment to another man. Now, there may be inhibitions in that attachment for all the reasons that we talked about. And that's why many gay men come to see a therapist, because they have these kinds of issues.
Yeah, Richard, we're going to be running out of time, but I do want to recommend some other books. I Am Not a Victim, about Louis Nassati, who has AIDS and is living and fighting it. Good Intentions, Bruce Nussbaum, Why the Government is Not Spending What It Should Be to Find a Cure for AIDS. Immune deficiency relates to many other diseases. When they discover the cure for AIDS, it will certainly help anyone with cancer. As well as Coming Out, An Act of Love, Rob Eichberg's book about facing your true feelings, because if you hide them, it is like a storm or a cancer. It will eat you up. I thank you very much, Richard, for coming. Will you autograph my book?
Be delighted.
If you would like a copy of our publication, Good Books, write to me, Connie Martinson, P.O. Box 69, 1640, Los Angeles, California, 90069, and we'll see you next week. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you.